I'm Miss Stacy. Welcome to Stacy's Homestead, and I've been cleaning out my freezer. We made bone broth, and now we're gonna do all the chicken bones. I'm just trying to get everything out of the freezer that's older, that needs to be processed to get ready for my harvest, for my garden and stuff. So, what we're gonna do, we're just gonna make bone broth. I'm gonna pop in a bunch of old bones. I put a bunch in here, into my roaster, and we're gonna cook those for a few days. Put in a bunch of saved onion skins and vegetable scraps and all that stuff. See, there's a bunch of old bones. All that stuff, and put it in the crock pot. Let's gonna make some good chicken bone broth. And then we're going to get some vegetables and probably use the broth to can those vegetables up. So that's what we're going to do. And then I might use the broth. So I'm thinking a pot pie maybe mix with, I have mixed vegetables. I can can it with the chicken broth for a ready pot pie mix. And then I won't use all of it, so we'll see what we can use the rest for after that. Let's get going. Alright, so here's my roaster. I got some hot water going in here already. And then we're just going to add, sometimes I accidentally leave the rubber bands in. Yeah, I left the rubber bands in on these silly, the silly rotisserie chicken, so you know, they band those legs together. I'm going to have to cut it off here, or find a way to cut it off, or we'll just fish them out once it melts. We'll do that. There we go. I think it's at the edge. I don't know why I didn't take these out. Alright, we're just going to put this in the water and just put all the bones you can find. So I have quite a few bones in this little bunch, but not enough to make a full pot of in my roaster, so I'll do half. And because I just made some chicken bone broth and canned it up like a few months ago, and we haven't eaten too much chicken since. So I got one more thing of chicken we'll put in, and we got a half-eaten rotisserie chicken we didn't quite finish up, so I'm just gonna pop that in there. And this time, remember to take the rubber band off this one. They're little poultry bands here. We're just gonna put that in there. And we got some chicken to flavor it up with, huh? So put the whole thing in there. It'll fall apart as it cooks. Soak up all that goodness. Okay. And that's that. And I'm just gonna cook it for a couple days. Alright, so I'm just going to go look in my freezer now and grab whatever I can. Onion skin, celery, carrots, whatever scraps, whatever whatnots there is, and just pop it in there and cook it for a few days. Alright, I'll come back to you when that's done, and then we'll start canning up our stuff here. Alrighty now, so our chicken broth is all done, ready to be canned up, and I for sure know we're gonna do pot pie ready stuff. But if I have any leftover broth, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it. I'll probably just put it in the freezer or in the fridge and use it for something like rice. Alright, so we have a bag of mixed vegetables, and they're frozen. They've been in my freezer for almost close to a year, so I have to use them. And I need to make room, so we're gonna can them up. And I'm gonna, because they're mixed, I have to cook them for corn times though, so it's gonna cook a lot longer than usual per the other vegetables. Okay, so the longest time in this package is corn times. Okay. So let's put this in a strainer, and I'm going to run them under hot water just to get them not so frozen. So when we add the hot liquid in, it's just perfect temperature, okay? Alrighty, so we got our vegetables all rinsed and stuff, and actually, you know what would be really good to do with these too is dehydrate them, because I love dehydrating vegetables that are pre-frozen, store-bought, because you don't have to blanch them. They're blanched and ready to go. So it cuts out a lot of that hard work. So if I have any left, I'll probably just dehydrate them. I have tons and tons. I dehydrated so much years ago. I have tons of dehydrated vegetables. And I use them during the summer for soups and stuff. But I have plenty and I don't need any more. But I'm still working on them. And eventually I'll start hydrating mixed vegetables again. But yeah, I don't need them. So I'm going to can them. And some people, when they buy frozen vegetables, they'll separate them. Take the time to separate them out so you don't have to can for the longest time, like the corn times. That's why I'm just doing them in pints, because it's a lot less time than in quarts. So we're just going to fill our jars up and pour broth on it. And I'll bring you in for that. Alright, so my counter's kind of squished with that, all kinds of stuff. Alright, so we're going to fill this up, each jar up, and our broth, season your broth to taste. Now, sometimes when I do like a pot pie filling, I thicken my sauce up with like Thermoflow. So I have a ready-made thick sauce. But I'm not going to do that this time because I might want it for like soups as well. So, I don't know, I'm just going to put the broth in and call it good. And I can always thicken it when I cook with it. Okay, so we're just going to fill these up here with our frozen vegetables that I defrosted under hot water. I'm going to do all the way to the inch head space, 1 inch head space here. Okay, let's see how many we can get. How many of these we can get? So yeah, my broth is seasoned just a bit. I didn't want to put too much seasoning because when I cook with these, I season, you know, the stuff I'm making on as well. So it has just a bit of chicken flavor, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Tastes really good. I don't need like tons of jars of this. When I first started canning, you know, you want to fill those cabinets up so you can a whole bunch of everything. But then, you know, you need to use those canning things up. You got to eat it. And so I don't want them being on the shelf for too long. So now that I have, you know, years of canning, I have like tons of canned goods on my shelf. So now I try to just do smaller batches because they rotate out much easier. Like instead of enough for 7 years, I do enough for 2 years on the shelf per thing. I try to. But some things like this, no, because I won't eat this fast enough. Eat it fast enough, so I'll just do enough for maybe a year at a time instead of 2 years at a time, sometimes 6 months at a time. Okay, I have just enough. I can double stack pints in my canner, so So I can do that if I need to. But look at, one bag is, if you stuff it to 1 inch, is good for 8 pints of the Costco mixed vegetables here. I'll have to take some out of these. Take some out. Try to make it even. You can add other stuff in it, like onions and things. Alright. Broth, I never can my vegetables anymore by itself. I always can it in broth. It just tastes so much better. Canned corn, canned green beans, always in broth. And then you can use the broth for gravies. It's dual purpose. Alright, I think pretty much even here. Okay. I only need a little bit in this one. A little bit in this one. Alright, so I got my Tattler lids ready to rock and roll, but I don't. And we'll can some regular broth up too. We'll do that. Well, no, regular broth's only 25 minutes. I don't know. We'll see. I might find something to make it. You might find something else to do with the rest of the broth. I have plenty of, like I said, I'm cleaning out my freezer. Got a lot of clean out, so I'm gonna probably, I could just can up a bunch of chicken too. I have chicken that needs to be canned. Okay. Now, well, I don't want to do all Tattlers because just sometimes I want to, don't put my eggs all in one basket, you know, I want to do a variation. So I'll do 4 Tattlers and 4 regular lids. That way I can give away some too, because I don't give away canned goods that are used with my Tattlers, because I'll never get those back. People just don't return your cans and your jars. Try to be generous. And I think they see maybe I have a bunch of jars, but the thing is, those jars are expensive. Alright, I did not strain the bones out yet. So, I'm going to do it as I go. I tell them, if you want more canned goods, bring it back and I'll give you more. But if you don't bring it back, I'm not giving you any more. And so far, either they don't want more or they just forget. So, good. Good stuff. Now, I'll put a little bit of chicken bouillon in there because it's my salt substitute. Just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. And the vegetables will soak up the salt too, the flavors. And then I like herbs de Provence in there. So, but I don't want to do it in the whole broth. I'm just going to put it in each mixed vegetables. Oh, it smells so good. I'm just going to put a pinch in each jar of herbs de Provence. That's how you pronounce it. That's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Just a pinch in each one. It's really good stuff. I love it. You know, every brand makes their own different kind. I got a couple that don't look like this one, and so more green fluffy stuff in it. Alright, you can add onion flakes. You know what? You know what I'm going to do? Because I'm not going to thicken it, I'm going to add some potato flakes. Let's go get those. Alright, so potato flakes can be used as a thickener. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put, well, you know, let's add a little pepper in here. Let's add a little pepper in each one too. Let's get creative. Now when you're canning, it doesn't matter the herbs that you put in and spices, okay? You can put whatever you want in. Doesn't change the temperature time. If you didn't know that, it's only the vegetable. So we're going to do a little pinch. Each jar of pepper, since I'm putting potato flakes in. Gotta have a little bit of pepper in there, you know. There we go. It's gonna be good. Yeah, so the potato flakes are a good thickener, so we'll do that. And I'll mark it on the jar lid so I know it has potatoes in it, so I won't add potatoes in my mix. Alright, so I'm not sure where my measuring stuff is, but I got this big old soup spoonful. Okay, we'll just call it a soup spoonful each. Heaping, so probably a tablespoon. A giant heaping. Let's do 2 of these in each jar, okay? 2 heaping. You know, I should probably put my thing on to protect the rim here. I want to protect the rim. So we're going to do 2 heaping spoons of tater flakes in each pint jar. Be a good thickener. It's gonna be good stuff here. And because these vegetables were frozen for a while, they're not gonna be all that al dente, but that's okay because it's gonna go in a pot pie. Or soup, you know? So it'll be just fine. There we go. If I did the thermoflow, the reason why it's just I'm pressed on time, and then I would have to mix it in a pot, and I don't want to do that before you add it. So with thermoflow, what I have to do, what I find needs to be done, unless I'm no different than me, is that you have to mix it in a pot separately and then put it in, and I don't want to mix it up separately. So this is good. All right, so we're gonna strain it as we go. Okay, and strain it as we go. And if you have anything else that can be pressure canned at corn times, or you don't mind being pressured for corn times, and you have room in your canner, go ahead and add that in. Out of the way. There. Well, let's poke these taters down in here just because I want the broth to drain in good. So if you forget to debubble, it's not gonna hurt anything. I've done it plenty of times because the pressure forces air up, okay? So the air is going to be evacuated no matter what. The pressure, like, try putting air underwater, right? And everything bubbles up. That's just what it does. You know, if you had a cup of air and you try to force it underwater, it's not going to stay. It'll bubble up. So the air will evacuate. It's displaced by steam, okay? The main reason for debubbling is just to maintain proper headspace, you know? So that way you have good atmospheric pressure and it stays shelf stable for a lot longer, you know? And it looks pretty when it's proper headspace. Okay, so there. Now my liquid should go in better. Okay, now let's go in for the debubbling action. There we go. There we go. Next, I have a lot of broth left. I filled these jars up pretty big. You know what? Let me empty these jars halfway. I put too much in the jar. Let me get a couple more jars. So I made a mistake. Made a mistake with the taters. We're gonna have to move some of them. There we go. Alright, so need to take some out. What I'm gonna do is take a little out of each one here. Take a spoonful out of each one real fast. Spoonful out of each one. Put it in a jar. Alright guys, so I ended up deciding to take just a little bit of vegetables out of each jar and put it in another jar. So that way I get a little more broth in there. Because after filling this one up and the taters, those taters thickened up real good. So I just want a little bit more brothy. So, okay, now let's get to it. 1 inch headspace, there we go. There we go. Okay, so the next one, perfect. Look at that. Let's debubble. There we go. That's perfecto. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more broth. Because it's gonna, the vegetables are gonna shrink when they lose air. But they won't too bad because they are already blanched because they're frozen. There we go. So this one has enough room to put, see, put a little bit of extra. So let's see now. So if you're gonna add tater flakes, put less vegetables. It's been a couple years since I did this one. Since I used potato flakes. Okay, let's go on to the next. Let's debubble. Make sure, this one I for sure want to debubble. Make sure I got enough broth and proper headspace. I think I'll add, take about a spoonful out. I'll take a little spoon out, if you please. Put it in this one. There we go. I think I might end up having to take a little spoon out of each one. That's okay. That last pinch of taters I put in, probably could have done without. It's all fine and good, fine and dandy, because when I get done, it's going to be beautiful. But when I make a mess like this, or have to move, because it's going to happen, you're going to have to move product out of jars and stuff. I don't know, I think I'm just not going to do tattlers, because tattlers are so finicky, you pretty much have to be perfect. And I wasn't perfect on this one. I was not perfect. So let's, tastes really good. Tastes really good, like pot pie. Yep, it's okay to take what you need out and put it in another jar. I've been canning for many years and I'm still always making mistakes. You know? No, that's pretty good. I'll take just a tiny bit out here. Put it in this jar. Put a little bit more liquid in. A little more liquid. Deep bubble while you go. Deep bubble while you go. Da, 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 da. Good. That looks delicious. Delicioso. I'm sure gonna have a lot of broth though. I'm gonna figure out, go see in my freezer what else needs to be canned after this. Okay, let's pull this one up. This is the jar that one of the jars I was adding to, so we can add to this one. Just want to make sure I don't have too much tater flakes in that one. Go ahead and put a little on that. Little tater flakes in there. All right. I'm putting this one. So the jars I'm adding to will add a little tater flakes. Got 2 big old pinchfuls. That's the recipe. 2 pinchfuls. All right. So let's line all these ones up and work as we go here. Okay. So we have 3 more original ones to do. See if I need to take out from there, and then we'll fill up the other ones. Alright guys, so because I made such a mess, we're gonna put flats on. Normally I put a bit of Tattlers on here, but Tattlers can be very finicky. And me moving things from one jar to another, which you have to do sometimes when you're just playing around. So flats are almost guaranteed pretty much to seal compared to Tattlers when you have like messy rims and stuff. So let's clean our rims and put our flats on. So I'm gonna wipe each rim with vinegar rag. So I got my vinegar because it cuts grease, and make sure we don't have any potato flakes or chicken on that top part real good. And I'm using separate cloths because that's what I do. I like to just do a bunch of separate ones. Switch aside. So you got herbs on the rims. It's got a little mess here. Just clean it up real good, you know. And Headspace is a little bit more forgiving also with flats rather than Tattlers. Alright, so let's put our tins on. And you know, the only thing I forgot to mention is that the potato flakes, you don't want them sitting at the bottom of your jars because they could burn. So make sure they're mixed up real good and not at the bottom. Forgot to tell you that. You want it mixed up real good throughout all of your jars. I got a couple used ones I'm putting in here because I like to do that. Let's see, I need a couple more. Well, you know what? This one, I don't know about that one. Get a couple more here. I always like to soak my flats in hot water. So I'll pop them in hot water real fast. All right. And whatever doesn't seal is dinner. It's supper. That looks good. All right. Just fingertip tight. Fingertip tight. I got a little rusty one. Don't want the rusty ones. Put them in. Okay guys, we're gonna put these in the canner here. And pints are 55 minutes for corn, okay? So we gotta process these for 55 minutes. And then I believe quarts is 85. That's why you wanna do corn in pints. Because if you do it in quarts, it's a lot longer, like 30 minutes longer. So make sure it's all in pints. I only have to do 2 on the top, huh? 2 on the top. Put the one that settled down more on the bottom on the top part. There we go. All right. Let's put the lid on and vent for 10 minutes. Wait till it pressurizes and then start the timer for 55 minutes. What's the dealio? What's the dealio? There we go. Okay. Alrighty, we'll see you when we take them out. Alrighty, y'all, so it should be done. It's been a while. I like to let it cool slowly down here. Let's see, just put this over here. It smells good, so I might have some siphoning. If you can smell it, you might have got some siphoning. Alright, oh, my jar's already cooled. My jar's already cooled down here. Alright, look at that. So, as it cools, because of the potato flakes, you want to, as it starts cooling down, after it seals, after a few hours, you'll start shaking it up a little, so that way it will distribute evenly, right? Yeah, these are already sealed. That's sealed, that's good. Let's take this off. Yep, they all sealed. Oh, there's one in the middle that's not sealed. Alright. So they're looking good. Put it down on my counter here. I don't know, maybe the one in the center. I don't see any mess on the tops. Here we go. This one might have siphoned. I got the headspace is a lot lower than the rest of them. but it's sealed. So we'll see. I'll put it to the side. Looking good. I only have one jar that hasn't, the button hasn't popped down. So that's the center jar. Oh, I heard it. It popped just now. Alright, well that center jar sealed. Okay. They look really good. As I said, as they start cooling, you know, I'll wait a couple hours and then gently shake it. But, let's see. I know I got some siphoning out of one of the jars because it smells and it's got a little bit of, it's not too bad, just I could see a little bit of chicken juice in here. But I'll wash that out right away before, that way I can clean it real good while it's hot. Alright guys, so that's my pot pie mix. I only have one jar siphoned for sure. But that one might seal as well. They do that. It's the darndest things. When they siphon, they still seal. Especially since I'm not using tattlers. But don't get me wrong, tattlers are really, really good. I love them. But on some things, like this one, I make a little mighty mess of things, transferring ingredients from one jar to the next. I just be safe and can with flats there, you know? So I'll show you really fast. They're still cooling down, but you take it, see how that is, and you put it upside down and swirl it a bit. And see, now it's evenly distributed. And then just do that here and there. As it cools, make sure they're sealed and they've been on the counter for a couple hours, so they're not hot, and I'm not gonna disturb that seal, you know. That one's a little, there we go. A little thick one. This one's cooled down a little bit faster. There, and once it cooled down, it's gonna be too thick for you to do it, so. Alright guys, yep, just a little swirl, and there you go. And then wait an hour and do it again. Or a half hour, probably, about a half hour. You know, and that's it. So we'll just talk to you later. Hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye.